I'm Andrew Zimmern. Want to be the envy of the whole neighborhood when it comes to a holiday potluck or family get-together? Learn how to make something like that. Think it's complex? Au contraire. Very, very easy. Just buy some good meat and cheese and master a few knife skills. Stick around, I'm going to teach you how to do it. The first thing I'm going to do is make my own pepper and onion relish, a little sweet and sour pepper and onion relish. I'm putting the vinegar and the sugar in there. I've got some fresh bay. I've got some peppercorns. I'm going to grab a microplane and a piece of nutmeg. I love nutmeg. And then I'm going to take 5 or 6 cloves. And now we're going to let that sort of come to a boil. And I am going to dice all of this fantastic pepper goodness and all its colors into several different sizes. And I'm using this all-purpose Japanese-style vegetable knife. It's called spoon hikari because of the type of blunt nose that it has. I can choke up on it and pull the blade through when I need to cut 1/4-inch batons on my pepper. And then I put the nose down and I can just cut, feeding this through into 1/4-inch dice. Take these serranos, which are the hottest pepper on the table here, and I'm just gonna cut them into thin coins, keeping the nose of my knife down on the board. I didn't move my knife or my vegetable at all. This is a red Fresno. If you want to cut it into rings, take a small utility knife and just cut those filaments. And then what I can do, I am just placing the knife tip at the front and pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. And I'm using a large amount of the blade cutting surface. Same thing with my jalapeno. Using my forefinger as a guidepost. These are little miniature Hungarian wax peppers and push stroke. Poblano pepper. All I want to do is cut these into, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch strips. I want it smaller than the red bell pepper. And once that's all done, I've got a slightly smaller dice versus the 1/4-inch of the bell pepper. I'm going to do something that we haven't done yet with an onion in this series. I'm just going to cut it into thin slices. And the reason why I like this is that these will all turn into candied threads of onion, and they'll wrap around all the peppers, and we'll be able to sort of clump a lot of this pepper and onion relish around pieces of meat and cheese. It's so delicious. So now that everything is in there, we just want it to cook down to a syrup. Doesn't take long. So how do we go about doing this? Kind of like arranging flowers in a vase. The first thing that I want to do is put some portions of grapes. I want people to be able to grab a clump of grapes, right? I'm just going to put these there so when people grab some, they're just getting a few. Strawberries. With my strawberries, I'm just going to cut these off and just make a little, I don't know, strawberry village. I just love the shape of strawberries. And I'm just taking these ends off. I'm going to just line these up like little soldiers. These sulfur-free apricots, there's no need to cut those. Clump of dates. These are beautiful, pitted. The reason why I put them in 2 different places is so that when they're out on a table, 8 or 10 people can all have at it at different parts of this. I'm going to take my scissor again, and we're just going to drop these beautiful dried figs all over the place. It's getting nice and syrupy. Let's do our meats, this beautiful salami. I'm going to cut the end off of it, and what you have is you have this white mold around a casing. And so I'm going to make a very thin incision down there, and I'm going to try to peel a few inches of that. And I am just going to very carefully push cut this. I am in no rush, and I want to cut it nice and thin. So I'm not in a race. Push through, push through, push through, right? We're going to take this beautiful honeycomb. This is a lovely ripe Stilton, nice and crumbly. I'm going to put my Stilton right there. I've got some nice Gruyere cheese here, and I'm just going to make batons out of the Gruyere that people can just pick up, and I'm just going to stick this Gruyere there. This looks like cloth-bound cheddar. It's cracking, and I'm just going to let it break on that crack. And I see another crack. I'm going to let that break. Then I'm going to just trim this piece. This is that Italian fennel sausage. I'm going to cut this thin and on an angle and leave it unpeeled. And I'm cutting this at a 45-degree angle, so I have a different shape than the other salami, and I'm slicing it thin. I'm going to put this in a pile next to my mountain of cheddar. This is Spanish membrillo, which is a quince paste, and let people dip a spoon into it. My favorite cheese, this is a washed rind cheese called Willoughby. Comes from the folks at Jasper Hill Farms. It's extremely ripe. This is almost reached the candied stage. The liquid is almost gone. This is my favorite thing to cut, which is mortadella. Our last element is this Serrano ham heel. I don't want to use a short blade. Can't cut through something that's bigger than my knife, right? So I've got a nice sharp chef's knife here. And what I want to do is make sure that I cut the skin away without cutting all the fat away. And I keep these even and flat by taking, as much of a slice as I can off the top, and then a complementary slice from the bottom. And so what I have here are beautiful pieces of ham. And I'm just going to drape them like a little waterfall. I'm going to turn this board around. So I'm just filling in holes so that everything is compressed together, because we still have our crackers to add, and I'm saving a spot there for a bowl of our relish. This is cooked down and candied into a lovely relish. And we're just gonna put that on this edge here. But you'll notice there's lots of places that you can stick these wonderful whole grain fruit and nut crackers. And then the grissini. Last thing. Just do that so that your guests can see what they're getting into. So there you go. It's a charcuterie board using a lot of different slicing, chopping, and dicing technique. Become the person that's known for a great charcuterie board.